Emotions always feel real. They will always feel real. They will feel as real as anything you will ever experience, but they are not always reliable. And so the challenge for us in the midst of our humanity is to monitor reactions and responses. Reactions and responses. Write that down. Reactions and responses. So if I hit myself, or if I hit a wall, or I'm in an accident, something hurts me, my reaction will be to say ouch and to cry. That's my reaction. But my response will be, okay, let me put something on this. What do I have to do to get this healed? Let me go to the hospital, right? Let me go see a doctor about this, right? So reactions are what you do in the midst of the emotion. But the response is what you do in the midst of the solution, right? And so the danger sometimes is when you react publicly. Everything can be posted on Facebook. You can't go and talk to everybody about who hurt you and who damaged you. Now, listen, reaction is human, and you do need to find people that you can reveal your humanity to without compromising your divinity, the God in you, the purpose in you, the calling in you. The challenge is that you have to be mature enough to identify those individuals, those mentors, right? You got to identify those diagonal relationships. The diagonal relationship is your relationship with people that are older, wiser, more experienced than you, your mentors, your teachers, your coaches. That's where you take those emotional spaces. You can't always take it horizontal to your peers and your friends and your family, right? You can't always do that, because sometimes people will weaponize your humanity and use it against you. That's what happens when you deal with people that are sometimes trying to compete with you. And sometimes you have to go above you, someone with more experience, because what they're going to do is they're going to sober you. They're going to sober your perceptions, right? They're going to sober those emotions back to a place of reliability. It's not always as bad as it feels. Right? It's not always the end of the world. Think back when you were a child, when you skinned your knee, it was over. Take me out of here. I'm going to heaven right now. We're done. My life is over. There's no coming back from this. I skinned my knee and I can't go any further. Father, take me now, right? That was the mentality based on our immaturity. We thought it was the end of the world, but it took a parent, it took an uncle, it took a coach to say, oh, this is all you have to do. First, calm down. Stop crying. It's not that bad. Look at it. It's a little blood, but you're going to be okay. All right. Second, let's go clean this up. Let's go clean the wound. Right. And sometimes our issue is that we got open wounds that we just kind of been letting to fester, because if we don't clean it, then it gets infected. And then it really does become bigger than it really was, bigger than the experience. Because if you leave a wound open, what happens is you get that gangrene in there eventually. And so what started as a skinned knee, now we're talking about amputation because I didn't treat it properly. And many times we don't treat our hurts properly, and it distorts our vision. And so now we're talking about amputation, where if I had just solicited the wisdom of somebody that was smarter than me, wiser than me, bigger than me, stronger than me, someone that had been through this before, someone that would help me clean my knee, my response would have been different. But I spent years reacting to something because I didn't clean it properly. Clean it, all right, and now let's cover it. The world doesn't need to see this. Your friends don't need to see this. Your family doesn't need to see this. Let me help you cover this wound and put the neosporin on it, or put the lavender oil on it, or put the frankincense on it. Why? We cover it so it can heal. We're not covering what happened. We're not covering the experience. We're just not exposing this wound to the world. Why? Because the world can't have it. It wasn't for the world. It was for you. What does this do? I always tell my son, anytime you skin your knee, anytime you bleed, it's making you stronger. Because that skin is going to heal. It's not going to bleed forever. And so we have to be careful in this season that while we allow our emotions to guide our reaction to a stimulus, to a hurt, to a pain, even to a joy, because you can't share everything good going on with your life either. We got to make sure that our responses are always sober. As you get in the presence of God through prayer, through fasting, through reading the word, as you engage with your mentors, your coaches, your perspective will shift. And sometimes you got to look at the same situation with new eyes. So in this season, starting today, look at the situations that have been plaguing you, that you keep responding to the wrong way. If the response is anything but faith, we're done reacting. We're not going to keep reacting to it. But now it's time for you to respond in the right way. Today, we're going to respond in faith.